So welcome to 3ds Max. I'm basically going to make a playlist of videos just going over the most simple of tools in the program and the bare bone basics of how to use 3ds Max and just modeling in general. So, different terms that are used across programs, whether you want to learn Blender, Maya, whatever. Just kind of get you started on modeling. So, these are generally going to be really short, show one tool, maybe reference one or two others, but mostly it's going to be focused on one tool. It may seem really simple, but I just kind of want to make it super dumbed down. If someone's looking for a very specific tool, they don't need to watch a 10-minute video to find one tool that they're looking for. So, today, I'm just going to kind of go over the basics of the interface, so you know how to actually get to the tools that I'm going to be showing you in later videos. So today, just going to go over the basics, the bare bone basics. So when you first open Max, you'll have something like this. It'll be a little different, mostly just what's in these windows. But other than that, it's going to be a 4-window setup like this. Now generally, I like to work in just one window. Especially if you're working on a lower res monitor, you're going to want as much space as you can get. So, to fix that, you can see these golden outlines on this window I'm currently selected on. If you click on another window, that golden outline changes. That's the active monitor, or the active viewport, sorry. So this is like top view, bottom view, orthographic, perspective. What I want is I just want the basic perspective view. So I'm going to click it so it's selected with that golden outline, and then I am going to press Alt and W while it's selected, and it will get rid of all those other viewports for us. Now, however, if you do want to get those back to, get kind of an overview of whatever you're modeling, simply just press Alt and W again, brings you back out. And then you can go over here, select that one, Alt W, back out. Anywho, like I said, Alt-Wing into here. We are now in just kind of a flat, normal, movable workspace. Right now, the view might seem... The view's going to... What you're seeing here is going to be different than what you would have right now, if you've been following what I was doing. I'm in orthographic view. Now, this is basically just a... You're going to be working in orthographic view most of the time, but what you're currently in is something called perspective view. So this is orthographic view, this is perspective view. I know a lot of people do like working in perspective view. I just find I am generally in orthographic. And the reason B is whenever you change to another view and then move out of it, you're going to be put into orthographic view by automatic. So you're going to be moving around a lot. You're constantly going to be getting put back into orthographic view, even if you want to be in perspective view. So what I generally do is if I want to use perspective view to, make sure a mesh isn't overlapping or anything like that, I will swap to perspective view and then just back to orthographic after I'm done checking that. So there's many ways you can change your views. One, manually up here. You can select orthographic, you can select top view, you can select bottom view, and so on and so forth. Or you can use the hotkeys that you see here. So P for perspective, U for orthographic. Sorry, U for orthographic. And then T for top, F for front, and L for left. They generally are the first letter of the view that you want. Some of them don't have hotkey set. I can show how to do that later if you'd like that. But orthographic view is unfortunately U by default and not O. I don't know why that is, because from my knowledge, there's... Yeah, weird. But anyway, just... You're going to be in orthographic view the most of the time. So if you don't want... If you find it difficult... Like if you always find yourself pressing O instead of U just because all the other ones are the first letter of their name, a simple way to get into orthographic view quickly is just to go into one of the other views, like top view or front view, and you can just press T or F. Now, I'm stuck in this view, and you've seen me do this already a few times where I'm in a view like this, and then I move out of it. How I've been doing that is I am holding Alt and then my middle mouse button. So your scroll wheel, press that down, and it'll allow you to pan around the scene like this. Done. If I use my scroll wheel, it zooms me in and out. If I hold my scroll wheel without using Alt, I pan around without orbiting, because Alt allows me to orbit. Without Alt, middle mouse button allows me to pan. So anywho, that's kind of your basic moving around the scene. And I've also got you now set up an orthographic view. Now, let's get some mesh in here for what I'm about to show next. So, we're going to go up here to your standard primitives tab, and you'll see a whole assortment of things. Box, cone, sphere, geosphere, and so on and so forth. We're going to create a box, you select it, and then you're just going to click, drag, let go, drag up, click, boom. You've got a cube, or kind of like a rectangle, but we're going to fix that in a moment. So, what we're going to do is we're going to come back up to our standard primitives tab, click on the button next to this plus sign here, called the Modify tab, and then you're going to notice some length, width, and height parameters, as long as some other stuff. All we're going to worry about right now is the height parameter, or the sizing parameters. I'm just going to make it a square, your typical cube. So I'm just going to make it 80 centimeters by 80 centimeters by 80 centimeters. Boom. Now you got a perfect cube. Next thing I'm going to do is I like to center my mesh when I first start working. So this is the center of the grid. And here's an easy way of doing that. So you can go down, and here's your position on the grid of the object you have currently selected. Now, you can come down here and manually select them and type in 0, but the way I like doing it, because it's just quicker, is if you right-click on the up and down arrows that allow you to shift it around if you hold left-click on, it'll reset that parameter to 0. This works for anything. Width, height, it'll just set whatever the number is to 0. So anything with an up and down arrow, you can both drag to edit it, or right-click and reset it to 0. So you're going to right-click on all three, and now you're centered in the middle at 0, 0, 0. Perfect. You've got a box in your scene now, which will now allow me to show a few more controls you have over your viewport. So, what if I want to see through this cube? I just want to see its skeleton, if you will, the vertices, the edges, the faces. Well, you're going to press F3. That's wireframe. All it'll show is your vertices, and your edges. Your faces will now be hidden. This will allow you to see through it. If you press F3 again, you're back to normal. To change this, if you don't want to use the hotkey, although I recommend you do, you can go back up to the top where we were playing around with the viewport, or the views, and go select on this thing that says Edged Faces. It may say Default Shading, it may say Edged Faces, or if you're on wireframe, it'll say wireframe. But anywho, you can then go down and hit wireframe override, and it'll change it to wireframe. I generally just use F3 though. Now there's another thing that you might want on. So if I select my cube, you'll notice that the edges are highlighted. Kind of just gives a bit of kind of depth to the cube. Kind of shows the makeup. More complex objects, this is very good because you get to see where your edge placement. However, if for whatever reason you want to turn this off, or it accidentally gets turned off, the way you turn it on and off is F4. Now this is called Edged Faces. Without it, it's called Default Shading. So if this ever gets turned off, you can press F4. However, if you don't remember that, you can go up to where it will, the one on the right of the view, top right or top left, and if you go to the far right option, you can then just turn it on by going to Edge Faces and turning it on that way. I generally just leave this on. I can't think of too many times I would turn it off. Maybe if I'm checking smoothing groups, which we'll get into later, but that's mostly what I'm going to be using that for. Now, I think that's where I'm going to leave it for this one. I In the future I'm going to mostly keep it to one thing at a time, so it's nice and bite-sized. But I kind of needed to get this out of the way so you know how to move around, how to change your views, and how to create basic shapes and change their parameters, as well as basic control over placement on the grid. So thanks for watching. Hope it wasn't too hard to follow. I was a little all over the place. In the next videos, I'll try to keep it to one thing. That way, it's just you can focus on that one thing. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.